Hi, I'm Michael Roub from Inflection 360. In this video, I want to talk about unnecessary staff and the cost that it has on a business. In particular, in my decades of experience in acquisitions, one of the very most sensitive topics is staff reduction. Unfortunately, in most acquisitions, some employees are going to lose their jobs. That's just the nature of the way most transactions work, particularly if somebody already in the space is looking to acquire a business and there would be redundancies. But there's redundant roles, unneeded roles going forward, poor performance. There's a lot of reasons why a given employee may not be retained. And while an owner, or the seller in this case, can't get rid of an important employee that's key to day-to-day operations prior to the time of sale, there are many owners that seem to struggle with getting rid of people that are either doing a poor job or really aren't that relevant to the ongoing business. They would rather let these employees keep dragging down their business and let the next business owner let them go. But eliminating these unnecessary or underperforming staff members in advance of an acquisition or sale of your business can create tremendous value and needs to be discussed further. But I get it. I've been an owner, operator of businesses, and I've had to fire a number of people over the years, and it's never pleasant. Nobody likes to fire staff. It isn't fun. But it's business. It's not personal. And you developed a great relationship with your employee. And I get it why you don't want to seem like the bad guy, but the reality is the employees could be costing you a tremendous amount of money. And frankly, after you sell the business, those people are going to lose their job anyway. So you need to take the proper steps to think about how to position that transition and set yourself up for the most value. So first, let's talk about the overpaid, underperforming employee. I was in a meeting with a client last month who knows that he needs to make some changes in the day-to-day operations of the business. And he's thinking about selling the business, but not for another 1 to 2 years at a minimum anyway. So we're at the right time to think about what will change from an operational standpoint that could drive tremendous value. But the problem is he has some employees that have been with him for years. He has a great relationship with them and doesn't really want to let them go. We need to make changes in the business to help it run more efficiently and drive growth. But he knows that this employee, one in particular, is going to refuse to do anything differently. They're very content doing as little as possible. How is that good for the business? So that employee is costing money today when a less expensive employee could do the same job, number one. But that same employee also has no motivation to help the business along. They have no aspirations. They're not going to be a part of any positive change in the business. So they're not helping grow the business. So they're actually hurting revenue because they're not putting in the effort to make sure a client of the business is getting a satisfactory outcome or working harder to help somebody that would bring revenue to the business. So even if they brought in a new employee that was paid at the overpaid like the current employee, as long as they were motivated, you could drive tremendous value from making that one change. And it's your business, so ultimately you need to do what's in the business, the interest of the business, and manage that properly. Now, another example is the unnecessary employee, and there's one employee that is the epitome of anything I've ever seen in a transaction, and this is about a decade ago, but was acquiring a large medical practice for my then employer. And there was a staff member, we'll call him Ricky for purposes of this example, and we wanted to sit down with the current business owners and understand, going through the list of everybody on their current team, who might not be a fit post-transaction. We wouldn't need their billers because we had in our own billing team. But what other staff also would be redundant or unneeded in the go-forward business? And one of them that we had circled in at the top of our list was Ricky. Frankly, we couldn't figure out what he did at all. He didn't seem to have anything that was a clear responsibility to us, but the owners were really reluctant to get rid of him. They said you couldn't actually run the business without him. They cited examples like if a light bulb goes out, Ricky replaces it immediately, or he cleans the fish tank without being asked. These are real things that happen to us. If something breaks, he knows who to call. He was a full-time employee who seemed to have very little real responsibilities in a very large medical practice. And we joked internally, not with the seller, that he probably has a full-time online job while sitting there doing that job. And ultimately, we did not retain Ricky post-transaction. And I can assure you that as the buyer, we didn't feel his absence, unfortunately. But let's talk about that from an economic perspective. You've got the underperformer from one of my current clients. And you've got the unnecessary employee from this past transaction that I worked on. Both resulted in significant lost profits to the owner. And frankly, it's not surprising to think that there are many businesses where you could have one of both or more. So the underperformer was probably costing about $10K a year, is probably costing about $10K a year in overpayment on their compensation. But they're also limiting revenue growth. And we could easily peg that at $50,000 a year. Frankly, I think it's more. But we're talking about $60,000 a year of unnecessary employee expense. On the underwork. And then on the other employee who was making about $60,000 a year, a great earning for somebody who really wasn't adding any value to the business, you have these two people that combined are sucking up about $120,000 of lost profit, whether from overpayment, salary that wasn't warranted at all, or from not driving any success in the business. So if that was going on for 5 years, that's more than $500,000 lost on any business owner. That's direct to your pocket. And while nobody likes to let people go, that's just fundamentally crazy from a business perspective. Now, let's take that go forward to a transaction process. And deals are commonly purchased on multiples of EBITDA operating cash flow. And both of these employees would be dragging down the profits of the business. And in many industries, commonly pick a multiple of say 5 times EBITDA would be the value placed on the business, on the historical profits of the business. So that $120K a year times 5, $600,000 a year of transaction value that could easily get lost by having these two employees that are underperforming or unneeded dragging down the business. So nobody really wants to be the bad guy, but if I told you I could give you $500,000 and make your business run better or see no change at all, you would want that money. So here all it takes is taking a little proactive action on your part to get that value, to obtain it. And that's making changes at the staffing level or working with somebody who can help you see that and make that happen. So if you think about having those two employees for 5 years and then selling the business, you're talking about $500,000 over 5 years and $500,000 at the time of sale. You are literally throwing away $1 million out of your pocket just because you wouldn't address two employees. That's common, unfortunately. But here's what we can do. Here's the solution. Particularly if you're setting the business up for sale. You have time. You can take action. When a buyer is going to look at your business, add backs are taken into consideration, things that would not be recurring or ongoing on the business post-sale. It's a little bit of a back and forth debate, but having been on both sides of the equation, rational buyers and sellers will agree typically on some pretty common ground of where that value should be placed. So as a seller, you need to be proactive. The buyer isn't going to just give you those operating synergies or value. And being proactive means taking action in advance. You can't market the thing for sale and say, oh, by the way, you're not going to need Ricky going forward, so that's value to your business. It's true, but as the buyer, I'm going to argue you didn't make the change. I'm making that value happen. I'm going to keep it. I'm not paying you for the value that I'm bringing to the table. What you would want to do 6, even better, 12 months in advance of a sale is to get rid of the Ricky or the unneeded employee, and or to make the change with the unnecessary employee. At least demonstrate, if not for 12 months, 6 months, that you can see the benefits to the financials of those changes. Then you have a clear argument for at least over the 6 months to make an annualized adjustment. And if they've been for 12 months, frankly, you're going to typically value the business on that last year, so you should be okay. But if you take those steps, you're going to unlock that value, at least on the transaction standpoint, where you could be picking up $500,000, not necessarily the 500 you lost in overpaying, but getting it on the deal. As a buyer, I was always thrilled when the seller hadn't taken these actions, because we'd get the benefit and not have to pay for the value. That was a great value, a great asset for us. But in either situation, the employees in this instance are going to lose their job. It's just a matter of who's going to give them notice. So as a buyer, we have there's no attachment, so it's easy to let somebody go. As a seller, I can understand when you've built up the relationships and you know these people, why it's difficult. But you can position that conversation properly and help these employees know that the business needs to change or there's growth happening, and it'll be hard, but you'll get out over it, and so will they. And you'll make a tremendous amount of additional profits on the ongoing business and in the event of a sale. So if you could make another $100,000 plus a year and another $500,000 at the time of sale, it would seem like an easy answer. And if you can remember it's business and not personal, although it always is a little bit personal, you can really unlock tremendous value for yourself. And work with your advisor who can help guide you to best manage that process and ensure that you are indeed going to see that value if you do sell. If you'd like to learn more about what Inflection 360 can bring to the table, or how we could talk to you about helping your business in this or any other regard, please visit our website. I'd love to have a time to talk to you or have me talk to any of the Inflection 360 team. Thank you.